What if everything you thought you needed for success, the huge budgets, massive growth, those brutal work schedules, what if that was actually holding you back? Seriously, what if the real path to success and happiness meant doing the exact opposite of what everyone tells you? Welcome to our book talk. Today we are challenging, well, pretty much everything you might think about building something great. We're diving into Rework by Jason Fried and David Hansson from 37 Signals.
Yeah, and these guys aren't just theorists, right? They actually built super successful products like Basecamp, Highrise, serving millions. And they did it by staying deliberately small, profitable, and basically telling the conventional business world no thanks for over a decade.
So this talk is your shortcut to their, let's say, radical but really actionable ideas. Our mission. Pull out the core insights on how you can build something meaningful, truly on your own terms. And we're starting by just tossing out the old rule book.
Yeah, let's get into it. The very first thing they demolish is that classic criticism you always hear, oh, that would never work in the real world.
Oh yeah, you hear that constantly. Anytime someone has a fresh take, like no VC funding or a 4-day week, the critics just line up saying it's naive. So what's the comeback?
The comeback is blunt. The real world isn't a place, it's an excuse. It's, just a reason to stick with the status quo, to avoid trying something different, even if the old way isn't working great. And 37 Signals is kind of living proof. Millions of users, teams spread across continents, no debt, all because they ignored that real-world noise.
That's pretty validating. Like if people are saying your idea is too out there, maybe you're actually onto something good.
Okay, let's hit the next piece of standard advice they challenge. This one is drilled into everyone. The failure myth.
Fail early, fail often. Like failure is some kind of badge of honor you need.
Right, but what do they say about that?
They basically say learning from mistakes is, well, overrated. Seriously. Think about it. When you fail, you mostly just learn what not to do. It doesn't actually tell you what to do next time. Hang on. That feels risky, doesn't it? I mean, isn't iteration, trying and failing, kind of core to innovation? That sounds really counterintuitive.
It does sound counterintuitive, I get that. But their point, and they actually back this up, cite a Harvard study, is that you should focus on learning from success. Success gives you a working model, something you can actually repeat or build on. The study found entrepreneurs who'd already succeeded had a 34% chance of succeeding again, those who'd failed before. Only 23%.
Wow.
Which is the same rate as people trying for the first time. So success, not failure, is the experience that actually gives you an edge.
That's a really stunning statistic. It completely flips that whole glorify failure narrative. Okay, so success is the real teacher. That leads right into the third sacred cow they tackle. Big, detailed business plans. Do we really need that 50-page, 5-year forecast?
Only if you enjoy writing fiction. They argue long-term planning is mostly guesswork anyway. You're trying to predict markets, competitors, the economy, things way outside your control. So they say, stop calling them plans, call them business guesses.
Business guesses. I like that. It feels more honest, takes the pressure off trying to predict the unpredictable. But, I mean, you still need some direction, right? You can't just wing it entirely.
Oh, absolutely. But the crucial point is when you make the decisions, you have the most information when you're actually doing the work, right? Not months before you start. Making big calls way in advance means you're deciding when you know the least. Their advice: focus on what you need to do this week. Decide just before you act when everything's fresh.
Okay, so throw out the 5-year guess. Focus on the immediate next steps.
Yeah.
That definitely makes starting something feel less, overwhelming. And this brings us nicely into execution, into actually doing stuff. They talk about being a starter.
Exactly. They actually suggest we should, retire the word entrepreneur.
Really?
Because it's gotten loaded with all this baggage, right? It sounds exclusive, like you need an MBA or tons of cash or this massive appetite for risk.
Yeah, it can feel intimidating. So if not entrepreneur, what's the alternative?
Just starter. Simple. Anyone can start something. You need an idea, sure, a bit of confidence, and that initial push. That's it. And this connects directly to their advice on where ideas come from. Scratch your own itch.
Ah, yes. Solve your own problem first. Why is that so powerful?
Because it shortcuts all the guesswork. You don't need market research, focus groups, none of that. You have the problem, so you build the solution for you. You know instantly if it's good because you're the first customer.
It's the classic inventor story, isn't it?
Yeah.
Like James Dyson being annoyed by his vacuum losing suction.
Exactly. And boom, the bagless vacuum, or Bill Bowerman wanting better shoes for his runners, pouring rubber in a waffle iron.
And creating the Nike waffle sole. They felt the pain point themselves, solved it, and discovered tons of other people needed it too.
Precisely. Now, related to starting, what about resources? Usually, we see lack of time or money as huge problems.
Yeah, major roadblocks. But Rework flips that too, right? They say embrace constraints.
They do. Constraints are advantages in disguise. They force you to be creative, to cut out the fluff. If you have endless time and money, you tend to overbuild, add features nobody needs, luxuries.
Okay, but let's be real. If I've only got, say, 5 hours a week for my side hustle, that feels like a massive disadvantage compared to some funded startup.
It feels like it, totally. But those 5 hours force you to be laser focused on what truly matters, what's absolutely essential. Think about constraints in art, like Shakespeare writing sonnets. The strict form didn't limit him, it arguably pushed his creativity. Less forces you to do more with what you have.
And that focus leads to one of my favorite rules from the book. Build half a product, not a half-assed product.
Yes. So much better to have one or two features that are absolutely amazing, truly kick-ass, than 10 features that are just meh. Trying to do everything means you probably do nothing particularly well. Find the core, nail it, and ignore the rest for now. They even applied this to the book itself. Cut it down massively between drafts, from like 57,000 words to 27,000, just to keep it sharp and potent.
That's ruthless editing. Okay, this whole philosophy totally reframes productivity. Which brings us to the next big topic, the culture of overwork. We celebrate the hustle, the grind, right? But Rework just calls workaholism stupid, straight up.
Absolutely stupid. Because workaholics aren't usually more productive, they're often just inefficient. They're throwing sheer hours, brute force at problems instead of finding smarter, simpler, more elegant solutions.
But wait a second. If I'm in a tough market, against competitors who are working 80-hour weeks, funded by VCs, don't I kind of have to grind just to stay in the game? Is this advice realistic for everyone?
That's a fair question. But are you competing on hours logged or on cleverness? The book argues the goal isn't to win the burnout competition. Workaholics crash. They hurt team morale. They often over-engineer things. The real hero isn't the martyr staying till midnight. It's the person who found a brilliant shortcut, got the same or better result, and, went home at 5 p.m.
Okay, so efficiency over sheer hours. If long hours aren't the answer, why do so many of us feel like we only get real focused work done super early or late at night?
Short answer, interruptions. During the normal workday, it's death by 1,000 cuts, right? Emails, Slack pings, meetings, people stopping by. You can't get into deep, meaningful work if you're constantly being pulled out of it. Real productivity needs what they call the alone zone.
The alone zone, I like that. It's like REM sleep for work. You can't just dip in and out. You need a solid block of time to get there.
Exactly. So you need to actively protect that time. Maybe block out, say, 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. on your calendar as no talk time. And favor asynchronous communication like email, where people can respond when it suits them, instead of demanding immediate attention like calls or meetings.
Meetings. Speaking of interruptions, the book calls meetings toxic. That's pretty strong language.
It is strong, but think about the real cost. A 1-hour meeting with 10 people isn't 1 hour of work lost. It's 10 hours of collective productivity down the drain, minimum. Plus, factor in the time it takes everyone to disengage from what they were doing, go to the meeting, then refocus afterwards. You're easily looking at maybe 15 hours of productive time lost for that 1-hour chat.
Wow, when you put it like that, the exchange rate is terrible.
Truly awful. So if a meeting is absolutely unavoidable, you need strict rules.
Right. They suggest things like set a timer, stick to it, invite way fewer people, maybe 3 max.
Definitely fewer people. And always, always end with a clear decision and someone assigned to actually do something about it. No vague follow-ups.
Makes sense. It all ties back to keeping things simple, staying lean, avoiding unnecessary complexity.
Which flows right into their strategic advice, too, like how to deal with competitors.
Yeah, how do you compete without getting dragged into this endless, expensive features war?
You underdo them. Don't try to one-up them. Try to one-down them.
One down them. You mean do less. Doesn't that sound like giving up or being lazy?
Not lazy, smart. It means focusing on the simple core problems and deliberately not tackling the complex edge case stuff your competitors are maybe getting bogged down in. The classic example they use is the old flip camcorder. Remember those?
Yeah, they were everywhere for a while. Super simple.
Exactly. It succeeded because of what it didn't have. No zoom, no complicated menus, didn't even take still photos. It just did one thing easy, fun video, exceptionally well. It won by subtracting, by being simpler.
That's a great example of less is more. Doing fewer things but nailing them. Okay, so you find your niche, you underdo the competition, but then people start copying you. How do you defend against that? How do you decommoditize?
You bake you into the product, your personality, your company's values, your unique point of view. Competitors can copy features, but they can't copy you. Think about Zappos. They sell shoes, you can buy shoes anywhere. But their thing is obsessive customer service that's built into their DNA. New hires, even execs, start in customer service. That's their defensible edge.
Or like that farm they mentioned, Polyface Farm. They sell meat, but what they're really selling is a philosophy about food, about farming. Big Ag can't just copy that belief system.
Exactly right. When your values and your way of doing things are part of the offering, it's much harder to replicate. And this philosophy extends to who you hire, especially if you want to stay small and effective. You need to hire managers of one.
Managers of one. Okay, what does that mean exactly? How do you spot one?
It means hiring people who don't need constant managing. They can take a goal, figure out the steps, do the work, and report back when it's done. They're self-starters, they're proactive, they don't need hand-holding, they manage themselves, which frees everyone else up.
That sounds ideal for a lean team. Less overhead, more getting stuff done. And they had one other hiring tip that seemed kind of specific but really important, regardless of the job title.
Oh yeah, always hire the best writer. Doesn't matter if it's for sales, design, programming, whatever.
Why writing specifically?
Because clear writing comes from clear thinking. Good writers know how to structure ideas, what to leave out, how to communicate effectively and empathetically. In today's world, so much relies on written communication, emails, documentation, website copy, internal comms. Clear writing is just fundamental for getting ideas across well.
That makes a ton of sense. Clear writing equals clear thinking.
Mm.
Okay, so we've covered a lot: rejecting the real world, learning from success, not failure, ditching long plans, scratching your own itch, embracing constraints.
Building half a product, avoiding workaholism, killing meetings, underdoing competitors, making you the differentiator, hiring self-managers.
Yeah, it's a whole different way of looking at building a business and, well, finding success and happiness in it. It's about starting lean, staying lean, making decisions just in time.
Decisions are temporary anyway, right? Solve today's problems today. Don't over-engineer for a future you haven't reached yet. But there's one last piece of advice, maybe the most critical one for actually getting started.
Right, the ultimate productivity multiplier. Inspiration is perishable.
That's the one. Inspiration is like fresh milk or fruit. It has an expiration date. You can't just put a great idea on the shelf and think, oh, I'll get to that in a few months when things calm down.
Because that initial spark, that energy you feel when you're genuinely inspired, it's incredibly powerful, but it fades.
Totally. The book says when you're truly inspired, you can blast through maybe 2 weeks worth of normal work in just 24 hours. It's like a superpower, but it doesn't last.
You have to seize it.
Yep.
That energy won't wait for the perfect time.
Exactly. That urgency, acting now when you feel that pull, that's what separates the starters from the someday maybe crowd. If you feel it, grab it. Don't wait.
So if this discussion has motivated you to maybe start something new, or even just to rework how you're approaching your current path to success and happiness, definitely subscribe. We'll have more book talks and discussions like this one right here. Thanks so much for diving in with us today.